All right. Hi everyone and welcome to today's live JIPMAT marathon. So I'm sure all of you are very excited about this session. Even I am really excited. We decided this very last moment. We thought a lot of students are really anxious about JIPMAT. The IPMAT Indore results are out, the Rohtak calls are out, and somehow some students who missed by small margins, some students who cleared the cutoffs got the interview calls, but still there's been a gap of almost 15-20 days since they last took the IPMAT. So all students were looking for something to kind of revise and get on speed with the JIPMAT solving. So while all your mocks might have been going on, we thought this session would be very helpful. So I've compiled all the past year questions. Now we've kept this 3-hour session today. So I'm hoping that we are able to at least cover around 40 or more questions across various areas. So that's arithmetic, algebra, geometry, you have numbers, and you have modern maths. So all the areas would be covered, right? So the format of this session would be such that I'll probably give you 1 minute for each question, and then we would I'll give you 1 minute for every question, and then probably we'll discuss the question together. Okay, so I'll solve it after 1 minute, probably around a minute for you to try the question first to see what formula can be applied, and then you can kind of basically see my solving for that question. All right, so let's jump into it. The first question, I think it's been on the screen for some time, so I'll just give you 30-40 seconds more to solve the question first, and then we would do the discussion. So you can try this question now. In the meanwhile, I'll just keep checking the YouTube chat as well. चालू नहीं हुआ है भाई.
जो है उस पे ही रहने पे।
All right. Hi everyone. I'm really, I apologize that you all had to, wait for so long before we started this stream. So there was a technical difficulty. Anyhow, I'm sure all of you are very excited about today's session. So it's been some time since your IPMAT Rohtak and IPMAT Indore happened, and it's been more than 3 weeks now. And I'm pretty sure all of you would have been looking forward to something like this, so that your QA prep, your LR prep, and your VA prep, especially for JIPMAT, picks up the required speed just before the exam. So today I've compiled past year questions from all the JIPMAT papers that were released in the last few years, and we've made a list of almost 40 to 50 questions, and I'm hoping that in the 2.5 to 3 hours that we have today, we are able to kind of cover as many questions as possible. Okay, in the meanwhile, I'll also keep an eye on the chat in the live stream, in the YouTube stream, and if you have any doubts or anything, please put your questions in the chat. I'll try to take them up during the session. All right, so let's get going with the solving now. Okay, the structure of the class would be such that I'll give you almost a minute to think about a question, and then I'll complete the solving. Maybe you might not be able to solve the question in the 1 minute that I give you, but the objective is that at least you think about the concept and the formula that you can apply in the question, okay, while you're given that time, right? So before I begin, I'll just quickly check the stream if it's working fine, and you can post your messages in the chat box so that I can just check if everything looks right. For some reason I am not able to see the session live. All right, yeah, now I can see that. So I'll just mute myself in the phone, yeah, in the chat. All right, so guys, yeah, let's get going. You've seen the question. Let's begin with the solving of this question, and basically then go ahead with the session, right? So let me just activate the pen. One moment, just a second. माउस से पेन चालू करना ना, वो 3 डॉट्स नीचे जो है ना, पेन चालू नहीं हो रहा, टर्न ऑन पे, yeah, okay. So yeah, let's get going with this. Okay, so you've already seen the answer, no worries. Let's begin the solving. So in an equilateral triangle ABC, an equilateral triangle ABC is inscribed in a circle of radius 20√3. So basically there's a circle whose radius is 20√3, and we have an equilateral triangle. So remember, this is an equilateral triangle. For an equilateral triangle, this is actually its circumcircle, and remember, for an equilateral triangle, the the circum radius basically is obtained on the median, right? So we'll keep that in mind. So for example, if this is the circum radius, this is 20√3, and 20√3 would be equal to 2/3 of the height. All of that we know. Okay, let's quickly get going. The centroid of the triangle is at a distance of D from the vertex A. oops, this point itself, the centroid is equal to the circumcenter, it's equal to the incenter. All the centers are the same point. So if they say that the centroid of the triangle ABC is at a distance D from the vertex A, so ABC, this point which is the circumcenter itself is the centroid. In fact, we did not have to do any calculation over here. The circumradius itself is the distance of the centroid from the vertex, because centroid and the circumcenter is the same point. Therefore, if the radius is 20 root 3, the answer to this question is also option C, that is 20 root 3. Right? I hope this is clear. So, you get such questions also in JIPMAT. It's not about, heavy solving always. Sometimes you get questions which, just test your concepts. Our idea should be that, in the QA section, we are able to solve at least 20, or at least 25 plus questions, and with a good amount of speed. You have enough time, so that should not be a concern for us, right? So let's go ahead. Looking at the second question now. I'll give you 30-40 seconds first. You can look at the question and then we'll discuss. Okay. In the meanwhile, I'll just look at the chat. You all can go ahead with the solving of the question. Yes, please keep trying. I hope you all are solving. Okay, we'll keep taking up questions, but first the solving. So let's solve this question, and then I'll take up the questions, other questions that are posted. So two ships are sailing in the sea on two sides of a lighthouse. The angles of elevation of the top of the lighthouse as observed from the two ships are 30 degrees and 45 degrees respectively. If the lighthouse is 100-meter high, the distance between the two ships approximately is. Now, looking at each question, you should also keep on identifying whether it's an easy question or not. This is a question which I've solved so many times in our trigonometry heights and distances chapter. A very common question type. You have two angles of elevations involved for two different objects. There'll be two triangles which will be formed. This is the lighthouse. Its height is 100 meter. There's this ship number 1 which has an angle of 45 degrees. And then there is a ship number 2 which has an angle of elevation of 30 degrees. Right? So this is how the diagram looks. Now, when you're solving heights and distances based questions, the idea for us would be that we'll try to use as less formulae as possible, and we'll try to use the properties of triangles 30, 60, 90, 45, 45, 90, etc. This height was 100 meters. So therefore, if this is 100 meters, this distance is also 100 meters, because 45, 45, 90 degrees. 45, 45, 90 degrees, this is an isosceles right angled triangle. So if this is 100, this is also 100. Coming to the 30, 60, 90, side opposite 30 degree is 100. Therefore, the side opposite 60 degrees, so this angle is 60 degrees. Side opposite 60 degrees is nothing but root 3 times the side opposite 30. So side opposite 30 degrees is 100. Therefore, in this right angled triangle, the side opposite 60 degrees, this part would be 100 root 3. So one side is 100 and one part is 100 root 3. Therefore, total distance between the two ships is nothing but 100 plus 100 root 3. If I take root 3 to be 1.73, so this is 173 and this is 100, the total distance would be 273. The answer is option C, right? Pretty straightforward, easy question. So even though it's trigonometry, quite manageable. Okay. Now, normally arithmetic is the most heavyweight section in, or the area covered in JIPMAT. However, I've purposely kept arithmetic a little later. I'm first covering the other areas because they generally get neglected. Okay, so that's why we have started with geometry. So apart from arithmetic, the others have almost a similar amount of weightage here and there. So you have numbers, algebra, and you have geometry, all these question types. So you don't need to kind of focus more on any one area. Arithmetic surely very heavy, but apart from that, others should also be given due weightage, okay, due kind of importance in the preparation. So let's go ahead to the next one. So the correct answer is option C, 273. Moving on to the third question. Yeah, before that, okay, yeah, someone had asked us about this thing. The question in the chat, someone has asked, can you use trigonometric ratios and solve it? I would avoid doing that. So that's why in this session today, I wouldn't do, solve it. Otherwise, it's very simple. You'd have to use, so you have to use opposite and adjacent. So you'd use tan. You have 45 degrees involved and you have 30 degrees involved. So you would use variables and you kind of write them in terms of tan 45 degree, tan 30 degrees, and you should be able to get the answer. Okay. So let's go ahead to the next question. This is a repeat. Question number 3 for today. Arrange the following in descending order based on their perimeters. I think if I just give you 30 seconds or 1 minute, you should all be able to answer this. Okay. So yeah, you all can quickly check what answer you are getting and then we'll discuss. 30 seconds. Yeah, I'm waiting for you all to solve. Once I get a couple of answers in the chats, I'll begin my solving. Okay, let's begin. I think this is a very straightforward question. You've been given these shapes and you've been given their area. Okay, some parameters have been given and you need to arrange them in the descending order of their perimeters very quickly. Square with an area of 36. So square area is 36, side is 9, and if side is 6, 6 square is 36, and if the side is 6, perimeter will be equal to 6 into 4, that is 24. Okay, an equilateral triangle with a side 9. So if the side is 9, already the side is given, so the perimeter is 27. Here chances of making mistakes are quite high. What students do is, first for square we were given an area, so it is very a common mistake to assume everywhere we might be given an area only. So be careful over there. Here for the second one, they've directly given you the side, so therefore the perimeter is 27. Rectangle with 10 centimeters as length and 40 is the area, so the breadth would come out to be 4, and if the breadth is 4, the perimeter would be equal to 2 times of L plus B. So 2 times 10, 20, and 2 times 4 is 8, 20 plus 8. The perimeter would turn out to be 28. As far as the circle is concerned, 2 pi and radius is 4. So that is 2 pi r, 2 pi into 4. 6.28 into 4. 6 into 4, 24.28 into 4, approximately 25 point something. Now the perimeters in the descending order. So the largest first, C, then you have B, CB, then you have D, and then you have A. The correct answer to this question is option D. Okay, let's move ahead to the next question. This was a pretty straightforward one. If you have any doubts or any queries, you can keep putting that in the chat. Okay, so let's go ahead. Moving on to the next next question. The sides of 4 triangles are given and you just have to check which of these are right angled triangles. I don't think I need to We need a lot of time. Let's quickly identify or do it together. For example, the option, the first one, 20, 22, 24, is that a right angled triangle? So will 20 square plus 22 square be equal to 24 square? No, that's not a triplet and it's not satisfying Pythagoras theorem. That's not a right angled triangle clearly. 15, 32, 37. Now this sometimes you could end up solving a lot. What you could do is, if this were a right angled triangle, 15 square plus 32 square would be equal to 37 square, which would mean the difference between 37 square and 32 square should be equal to 225. Could that be possible? 15 square is 225. 225 is equal to 37 square minus 32 square. And you could just check 37 square minus 32, or you could also use units place, which okay, which might give you a possibility. But yeah, if you just solve this, a square minus b square, so this would be 37 plus 32 into 37 minus 32. 37 plus 32 is 69. 69 into 5 is not 225. The equation is not being satisfied. Therefore, the B1 is not a Pythagorean triplet. As far as option C is concerned, actually I know a few triplets by heart. So option C and option D I know by default are Pythagorean triplets, and therefore they are right angled triangles. Just for your reference, what you can do is, whenever you are trying to find triplets, I'll give you a trick. For example, whenever you're trying to check a few basic triplets, one of the ways of finding triplets is this. Say you know that there is a triplet called 5, 12 and 13. Okay, but suppose I forget what the triplet was that started with the number 5. So what you can do is, it's an odd number, you first square it. 5 square is 25. So you make half of 25. Half of 25 is 12.5. If you want a triplet with 5, starting with 5, basically the two numbers that you can take are the integer before 12.5 and the integer after 12.5. So 5, the triplet with 5 would be 5, the integer before 12.5 is 12, and the integer after 12.5 is 13. So therefore the triplet would be 5, 12 and 13. Similarly, if I were to create a triplet using 11, 11 square is 121. 11 square is 121. Half of 121 is 60.5, and therefore if I want a triplet starting with 11, I'll take the two integers, the one before 60.5 and the one after 60.5. So that's 11, 60 and 61. That way I remember the triplet starting with 11. Even for 13, that is 169. So half of 169 is 84.5. So if someone would to ask me, give me a triplet with 13, one of the triplets could be 13, and then you will have 84, and then you will have 85. Okay, right? Is this understood? I hope this is also clear. Okay. 6, 8 and 10 is an extension, or it's a double of 3, 4, 5. We all know 6, 8, 10 is a common triplet. So therefore C and D only. The correct answer to this one is option D, right? So although I'm sure most of you would have got to the answer already, it's important that if we come across any new concept or any new method, maybe you can just take note of that. All right. So let's go ahead to the next question. The cost of fencing an equilateral triangular park and a square park is the same. If the area of triangular park is this, then the length of the diagonal of the square park would be what? Okay. What you can do is, you can try this one, see if you are able to answer this within 1 minute or not. Okay. So just try answering this in a minute. I'll put up a timer in my phone, and then we can maybe discuss quickly. Okay. I think it's enough time. Let us now discuss. You would have thought of the concepts involved. So the cost of fencing would be proportional to what? The price, or the rate of fencing was not given. The overall cost of fencing a triangular park and a square park is the same. If the area of the triangular park is this much, then the length of the diagonal of the square park. So first of all, cost. So this one is not so straightforward. Cost of fencing. So cost of fencing is equal, simply means perimeter of triangle is equal to the perimeter of the square, because cost is directly proportional to the perimeter. If the rate of fencing being the same, assuming that the rate is the same, perimeters would be equal. Okay. Now the area of the triangular park is 16 root 3. So basically area of the triangle is 16 root 3, but area of an equilateral triangle we know is root 3 by 4 side square, or s square. So if you just cancel out the root 3, s square would come out to be 64. Therefore side of the equilateral triangle comes out to be 8. If the side of the triangle is 8, perimeter of the triangle is 24. Therefore perimeter of the square is also 24. And if the perimeter of the square is 24, side of the square is 1/4 of 24, that is equal to 6. So we find that the side of the square is 6, but we were asked to find the length of the diagonal of the square park. So diagonal is root 2 times the side. So therefore diagonal of the square will be equal to 6 root 2. Hence the answer to this question would be 6 root 2, that is option D, right? So although appears to be a little lengthy at the outset, because you would first have to start from the area, then move on to side, and then the perimeter, but the structure is quite straightforward, or it's quite easy. The calculations were also very simple. So yeah, all the questions till now that we've come across have been quite straightforward, must do type A questions. Alright, so let's go ahead quickly. A solid brass sphere of radius 21 is converted into this, the ratio of the total surface areas of the rod to sphere. Yeah, I think a good interesting question. See if you are able to solve it using the shortest method. Maybe I'll give you a timer of 1 minute, and then maybe we will discuss this. So see if you are able to answer this in a minute's time. If you have any other doubts in whatever methods we've used, you can put that in the chat, or maybe anything else. If you wish to kind of ask, you can use the chat for that. Okay, so you can ask questions in the chat. Okay, someone has got the answer as D, someone has got it as B. I'm waiting for a couple of answers more, and then we'll move ahead. All right, I think I'll go ahead and solve it now. Yeah. A solid brass sphere of radius 21 centimeter is converted into right circular cylinder of cylindrical rod of length 28 centimeters. The ratio of the total surface area, right? Now you have a solid brass sphere of radius 21, so the volume would remain the same. So therefore the volume of the cylinder would be equal to, so volume of the cylinder will be equal to the volume of the cylinder is pi r square h, and that would be equal to 4 by 3 pi into 21 cube, right? And this h over here, the h over here was So h over here was 28. So basically pi and pi gets cancelled out. We already know the h from cancelling out things. We'll also be able to get the value of r square. Okay, so let's quickly do that. Therefore r square into 28 equals 4 by 3 into 21 into 21 into 21. You don't have to cancel out things. Okay, you don't have to actually calculate the values. You should try cancelling things. So basically 7 goes 4 times, 7 goes 3 times here, 3 and the 3 gets cancelled out. Okay, so this is cancelled, the 4 and the 4 gets cancelled out. R square is 21 into 21, therefore clearly R is equal to 21. So the radius of the cylindrical rod is also 21, and we had to find the ratio of total surface areas of the rod to the to that of the sphere. So total surface area pi 2 pi r, so basically 2 pi r plus h is the total surface area of the cylindrical rod is 2. The total surface area of the sphere is 4, and both the radii are the same. So basically, we could simply keep r and h also. 4 pi r cube, 4 pi r square, right? So this r and the r over here would cancel out. The pi and the pi cancels out. 2 goes once, 2 goes twice. Could we also probably cancel out something over here? No. So radius is 21 and the height is 28. 21 plus 28 is 49 is 2. Radius is 21 into 2 is 42. So 49 is to 42. The ratio comes out to be 7 is to 6. Fortunately for us, the calculation became a little easier because the radius of the cylinder also came out to be 21. So things cancelled out quite easily. Okay. So therefore the ratio is 7 is to 6. The correct answer to this question is option B, that is 7 is to 6. Okay. So yeah, I hope this question is understood. Okay. So filtering through the chat related to solving. Alright, nothing related to me has been asked, so let's go ahead. Have never done geometry during my prep. Should I do it now or leave it? If you have never done it, just revise the formulae related to mensuration. Mensuration is something which most students would have done in their 10th grade. So at least that is something that you can, basic formula. These questions are based on mensuration that you would have done in 10th grade. Okay. So at least revise the mensuration formulae. Also remember proportionality. You will come across questions which involve proportionality, like radii are in the ratio 2 is to 3. So the areas would be in what ratio or something like that. So at least don't miss out questions which are based on proportionality of area or something like that. Right? Let's move ahead. Now this one looks to be a little lengthy, maybe. Is it? I don't know. Let's give you some time. So maybe we could take 40-50 seconds or 1 minute here, and then we'll discuss. So your timer has started. You can start the solving and then we will discuss after a minute. You just need to figure out the equation that you'll make over here, and it becomes pretty much manageable. All right, let's solve it now. The key to solving this question is, joining the diagonal, because when I looked at this diagram, I can easily, if the radius of the inner circle is r, the bigger circle, the outer circles is r, I would easily be able to write the side of the square in terms of r, right? So I hope you know, are you able to tell me what is the length of the side of the square? So clearly, if this is r and this is r, the side of the square is nothing but, the side of the square is 2r. Okay, if the side of the square is 2r, this side and this side is equal, the diagonal of the square, is root 2 times the side, so it's 2 root 2 times r. So that's the diagonal of the square, and the diagonal, I can easily write an equation for this, because this diagonal can be composed of r, here and r, and you have the diameter of the inner circle, so let's call it x. Okay, so can I say that's equal to 2r plus 2x, where x is the radius of the inner circle. We were asked to find the radius of the innermost circle, so that I have taken as x. And now you can just solve this equation, you will get your answer. The 2 cancels out from all the 3 terms, root 2r minus r, the 2 and the 2 has been cancelled out. So root 2r minus r is equal to x. So the r comes out common, root 2 minus 1 is equal to x, and that should be our answer. So the answer to this question should be root 2 minus 1 times r, that is nothing but option C, right? So try solving it with minimal steps and minimal working. Could have been solved very quickly, although you know the diagram appears to be a little tricky, you know, because there are questions which involved squares and circle within squares, and you know, you might have practiced, if you have solved the geometry modules and you know, material from IMS, you might have come across questions which appeared to be somewhat similar. You had circle and a circle within a square, and you know, that equation used to be a little lengthier compared to this one. Here this one was pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Okay, sometimes you know, when root 2 plus 1, root 2 minus 1 are involved, there might be a you can say rationalization of denominators sometimes involved, but here it was in the numerator itself. Okay, let's go ahead. All right, moving on. You've been given sine alpha, cos alpha, roots of equation, then b square is equal to. I think this is at the cross section of geometry and algebra. Again, please see if you are able to try this question in a minute or so. Okay, so I've started the timer. See if you are able to answer this question based on properties of quadratic equations and trigonometry. Yeah. All right, I think we've had enough time. The two properties generally which are useful over here are sine square theta plus cos square theta is equal to 1, and the sum of roots and product of roots, right? Because we've been asked, then what is the value of b square? So b is the coefficient of the middle term, right? So we know minus sum of roots, sine of alpha plus cos of alpha will be equal to minus b upon a, and we have been asked what will be the value of b square. So let's first of all take a on the other side. A sine alpha plus cos alpha is equal to minus b, and then taking square on both the sides. So if we square both the sides, we will find what we had to find, the b square. So therefore b square would be equal to a square and sine alpha plus cos alpha, the whole square would simply become sine square alpha plus cos square alpha plus 2 sine alpha cos alpha. Okay, this is nothing but 1. So sine square theta plus cos square theta is 1. So what we'll have over here is nothing but a square into 1 plus, what about the sine alpha into cos alpha? So sine alpha into cos alpha, sine alpha and cos alpha were the roots of this quadratic. Therefore this represents product of the roots. Product of the roots is nothing but c upon a. So 1 plus 2 times c upon a. Now we just have to simplify this and check which option satisfies this. So if you multiply this inside, we'll get a square plus the a and a square would cancel out and you will have only a in the numerator, so 2ac. A square plus 2ac, the correct answer to this question is option C, a square plus 2ac. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead to the next question. In the meanwhile, I'll just check. Yeah, I think now the solving is happening. So please try this one as well and then we'll discuss. This question is based on the concept I was telling you all. It is a very common concept tested in JIPMAT. You know, what happens when the radius is doubled to the area, what will happen to this volume, etc. Okay, so 2-3 questions twisted in different ways have been asked across the years. So yeah, this would be a good concept to kind of adapt yourself. I think, yeah, waiting for your answers in the chat. Do you all want us to post a QA formula cheat sheet? Maybe, I'll try to compile. I think we had made one, so maybe I'll try to see if I can share a formula sheet with you, maybe in the chat here or across all your groups. So let me know in the chat if you would want to have a formula sheet, because some of you would have made your own sheet. Yeah. Okay. Seems Sherlyn is the only one. Sherlyn 5523 who's involved here. Others still solving maybe? Okay. All right, after today's session, maybe, I'll just see if I can compile all the formulae in one place, maybe 5, 6, 7 page doc, which contains all the geometry formulae, all the algebra, quadratic equations, permutations, combinations, whatever, all the concepts, briefly. Maybe we will try to share a cheat sheet across, maybe, might pin it in the description of this video also, and might post it across all the groups and all the other channels where you kind of, come across your messages from IMS. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve this one. If the height of the cylinder is doubled, the area of curved surface is doubled. Okay, so basically, if height of a cylinder is doubled, then what happens to the area? Area of curved surface of a cylinder. So area of curved surface curved surface area of a cylinder is nothing but 2 pi r into h. So area is directly proportional to the height. If the height is doubled, area will be doubled. So this statement sounds to be correct. If the radius of a hemispherical solid is doubled, the total surface area becomes fourfold. So if you are aware of the formula, area of a hemisphere is directly proportional to the square of the radius. If the radius becomes into 2, the area would be affected by 2 square, that is fourfold. Yes, so this also seems to be correct, because the total surface area of a hemisphere is equal to 3 pi r square. So it's directly proportional to the square of radius. So this also sounds to be correct. What about the option C, the statement C? If a hemisphere and a cone have equal bases and equal heights, then the ratio of their curved surfaces, surface area is 2:1. Okay. Now hemisphere, so the curved surface area of a hemisphere is 2 pi r square. For basically the hemisphere and the cone also has the same radius, the base is the same, and height, so height is the same, means that height is also equal to the radius, so its slant height would be √2r. So basically from here you need to understand that the slant height, because for the cone height is also r, the base is the base radius would also be equal to r, because it's the same, and it has the same height as the hemisphere. It has the same height as the hemisphere. So therefore its height would be equal to the radius. So this is r, this is r, this would be √2 times r, the slant height. So that is important over here, and therefore the ratio of their curved surface, so curved surface area would be pi r l. Clearly the √2 is not getting cancelled out, I'm pretty sure here, and if the √2 is not getting cancelled out, the ratio is not coming out to be 2:1. Therefore option the statement C does not sound to be correct. The correct answer to this question should be option C, A and B only. Okay, so I'm not getting into the exact calculation, I'm just seeing the √2 is never going to get cancelled out, it's not going to be 2:1. Therefore the answer is option C, A and B only. All right, let's go ahead. The equation of a circle which passes through the point 4,5 and its center is 2,2. Now I am not giving you time for this one. Everyone, can you all just very quickly put your answers in the chat? You don't need time for this one. Immediately, just this is a concept question. So your answer should at least have, you could have figured out the answer to this one without even solving. Just look at the options, guys. The answer should definitely have x minus, so the center is x equal, the coordinates of the center are 2 and 2, 2,2. So therefore x minus 2 the whole square plus y minus 2 the whole square would be equal to r square, even without calculating the radius. From the structure of the options, this cannot be the equation of a circle. This is the equation of a circle centered at the origin. Here the center is 4 and 5. This cannot be the answer. Hence the only option which can be the answer is option B. The correct answer is option B. Okay, going through these questions, I am pretty sure for geometry you should realize the questions are not very difficult. They are quite straightforward. I strongly recommend that you revise your concepts of coordinate geometry, the basic formula of coordinate geometry, the basic sine, cos, tan properties, the identities, the simple identity sine square theta plus cos square theta equal to 1, and the heights and distances part, and all the trigonometric ratios, the 30, 60, 90, 45, 45, 90 triangles, and sine, tan, cos, tan, all of it, all the ratios for that table that you have. I'm pretty sure if you cover that much, you should be able to handle questions based on trigonometry and geometry. A few quick questions from which I recall, maybe I have not added over here in the slide, trigonometry based. Yeah, now we are moving ahead to algebra, but maybe sine square 49 degrees minus cos square 41 degrees. Is this equal to 0 or is this equal to 1? Sorry, is this equal to 1 or 0? Which one is the correct answer among these two? Or none of these? Neither. what would be the value of sine square 49 degrees minus cos square 41 degrees? Is it 1, is it 0, or is it neither? Can you all put your answers in the chat? So some properties of conjugates you should definitely know. I've seen a couple of questions, which I've not added here, but which tested this property. So in general, sine square theta plus, so the property that we are going to use is cos of theta is equal to sine of 90 minus theta. That is something that you can keep in mind. So basically cos square 41 degrees is the same as sine of 49 degrees. So sine square 49 degrees, and therefore sine square 49 degrees minus sine square 49 degrees would be 0. The other thing is, from here you could also say sine square theta plus sine square 90 minus theta. Sine square 90 minus theta is equal to 1. Many times you get direct questions on this property also. So this and sine square theta minus cos square 90 minus theta is equal to 0, because these two things are actually equal. Okay, so you could get questions based on basic properties of trigonometry, the values of the angles. So here they purposely use angles for which you don't know the trigonometric ratios. So those who have even a little doubt in their concepts, generally, even though it's a very easy property or a question, they kind of skip the question or jump the question. So that is somewhere, where you could kind of gain those additional 3-4 marks for basically, having the confidence in the properties in your concepts. Okay, so let's go ahead. Moving on to the next one. Algebra. So we've come to algebra. The questions sometimes might sound pretty tricky, but see if you are able to answer this one now on the basis of this. So I'll give you a minute, or some basically a little more than a minute. So I'm giving you a minute and 15 seconds. See if you are able to answer this question. Could be sometimes a little tricky, lengthy. All right, I think I'll start the solving now. You've been given, if the highest common factor of x square minus px minus q and 5x square minus 3px minus 15q is x minus 3, then the value of p comma q will be. Okay, so here the property that you had to use was, if this is a factor, then if you substitute x equal to 3, so if I put x minus 3 equal to 0, that is, if I put x is equal to 3, both these expressions should become 0, and if they become 0, we'll get equations in p and q. So we'll get we have two unknowns, P and Q, and we'll get two equations and we'll be able to get to the answer. As soon as I know that this is what is supposed to be done over here, your calculation should be super quick. If this is equal to 0 and I put x equal to 3, I'm going to skip steps, okay? Because in the exam, I'm directly, okay, taking this is equal to 0, so I'll kind of, jump a few steps mentally. So x square, this would become 9, go on the other side and become a minus 9. Minus 3, so minus 3p minus q equals minus 9. Therefore, 3p plus q equals 9. Step number, the equation number 1. Equation number 2, I put x equal to 3 over here. So if I put x equal to 3 over here, 9 into 5, 45, goes on the other side, becomes negative, or rather, keep that as positive, and everything else over here also has minus sign. So everything will become positive. So ultimately it will be 3 into 3, 9. So 9p plus, so basically taking this and this on the other side, so they'll become positive. 15q, so plus 15q is equal to 5 into 9, 45. All the terms have a 3 in common, so 3p plus 5q is equal to a 3 cancels out and this becomes 15. Clearly you take the difference, 4q is 6, therefore q is 1.5, or which is nothing but 3 by 2. Q equal to 3 by 2 is happening only in option C, therefore my correct answer, or my answer to this question, would be option C. I need to, or we need to be confident. Just check, if I put x equal to 1 by 1.5, will I get, or if I put q equal to 1.5, will I get p equal to 2.5? Very quickly, 1.5 goes on the other side, 3p is 7.5, p comes out to be 2.5. Yes, it's correct. The answer is option C. Alright, so yes, the correct answer to this question was option C. If I put q equal to 3 by 2, p actually comes out to be 2.5, which is 5 by 2. Okay, so let's go ahead to the next one. The factors of the polynomial this are. Very interesting question. If you've done your sum of roots and product of roots concept well, you should be able to answer this question very quickly. Otherwise you'll multiply and see. Ultimately, the test is how quickly are you able to answer this question. So see and tell me what would be the value of this. Okay, Sherlyn, I'll come back to your query in a bit. Okay, I think I'll, before you all start solving, someone had a query here. So this is equation number 1, Sherlyn, and this is equation number 2. When you take the difference, 3p and 3p will cancel out. 4q will be equal to 15 minus 9, that is 6. And from here we got q is equal to 1.5, right? I hope that's clear. So I'll go ahead to the next question. Find the factors of this polynomial. All right, yeah, so let's quickly do this. Now, how would I do this? Either you can, just quickly check. I could easily check the sum of coefficients. 1 plus 11 is 12, minus 6, 0. Generally, just remember as a rule, when sum of coefficients, so okay, let me put it this way. First of all, you had to multiply and check whether you get this over here. So for whichever option you get this expression, that option would be your answer. But that's the longer method, okay? We could also have eliminated options and got to the answers very quickly, okay? So first of all, if I were to multiply this, the coefficient of x cube would be equal to 1. How do you get x square? X into 3 plus x into 2 into x. So 3 plus 2 plus 1, that would come out to be plus 6x square. But here the coefficient was minus 6x square. So therefore option A cannot be the answer. and you could go about it this way. However, I want you to do it in a smarter way. So if I were to discuss a few good methods here, sum of all coefficients of a polynomial, if that turns out to be 0, we can safely say x equal to 1 is a root of the polynomial, or simply put, x minus 1 is a factor. So instead of actually multiplying over here, I could have easily said option A is eliminated because the factor, the x minus 1 factor is not present over here. So therefore option A cannot be the answer. Alright, option A cannot be the answer. But what about B, C and D? Then I would also have used sum of roots. The sum of roots is equal to minus times of B upon A. So basically sum of roots should come out to be 6. All the 3 roots should add up to a 6. The only way the addition could be a 6 with 1, 2 and 3 involved is that all the 3 should be positive. If you look at the roots over here, x minus 1 is a factor, so the root is x equal to 1. X plus 2 is a factor, the root is minus 2, the root is minus 3. So minus 2 minus 3 would be a minus 5 plus 1 minus 4. By observation, I could easily see that the answer has to be option C only, because only option C has sum of roots is equal to, so sum of roots is always equal to minus B upon A, and this is a cubic polynomial. So if it is a cubic polynomial, product of roots is equal to minus D upon A, where A, B, C, D, what are they? They are nothing but the standard coefficient, ax cube plus bx square plus cx plus d equal to 0. For this equation, sum of roots is this and product of roots is this. Both come with a minus sign. So therefore I could have easily seen the options and identified that option C would have the sum of roots equal to minus of minus 6, that is equal to minus of minus 6 by 1, that is nothing but equal to 6. Product of roots will also be minus of minus 6, so that will also come out to be 6. And looking at these numbers, you should keep these numbers in mind. Only for 1, 2 and 3 is the total also 6 and the product also 6. Okay. Now for the total to be 6, all of them have to be at of the same sign, either all 3 positive or all 3 negative. Keep that also in mind, right? Let's go ahead. Okay, another question based on quadratic equations. You've been given roots, their ratio, and they've asked you to find the value of p. Pretty straightforward. Okay, let's do it. Okay, you'll do it first in your way and then I'll tell you my method. Maybe half a minute is enough for this question. So think about it for 30-40 seconds. Probably you should be able to reach close to the answer. Okay, so start. I'm giving you almost a minute. See if you're able to get to the answer. All right, it's time. So let's quickly do it. We've been given that the roots are in the ratio 2:3. So let the first root alpha be equal to 2k and beta be equal to 3k. Therefore, alpha into beta will be equal to 2k into 3k, that is 6k square, and that will be equal to c upon a. So that is equal to 54, because product of roots is equal to c upon a. So 54 upon 1. From here you will solve and you'll get k square is 9, which gives k is equal to plus or minus 3. Keep in mind k could be equal to plus or minus 3 both, okay. However, we are further given k is equal to 3, so therefore the roots become 2 into, so the roots would either be 2 into 3 6 and 3 into 3 9, or they would be minus 6 and minus 9, okay. So these are the two possibilities, and the middle coefficient generally represents the sum of roots and it's coming with a minus sign, so therefore alpha plus beta would be equal to minus of minus p, that is, can I say it will be equal to p, and that will be equal to either 6 plus 9 15, or it will be equal to minus 6 plus minus 9, that's minus 15. Now from the options, minus 15 is not there in the options, therefore the correct answer to this question should be option D, that is 15, right? I hope this is clear. Okay, all right. What we have next is we have an assertion reasoning question. You've been given a question, and in that question you've been given two statements. One is called assertion, one is called reason. So assertion would be a statement and reason sometimes would be the correct reason for what the assertion is given to be, okay. So read the assertion, read the reason, identify whether both of them are correct, identify whether the reason is the correct reason for the assertion to happen, or if maybe it is independently true statement. So see if you are able to get to an answer to this question, maybe in a minute's time or minute and a half. All right, we can easily see that in this question, by the first glance, assertion would require solving, but reasoning is the simple definition, sum of n terms of an AP. Now, I think we all agree, sum of n terms of an AP. I've always written this, maybe they've written A and L. I normally write it, it's so basically first term and last term divided by 2 is the average. So arithmetic mean is given by first term plus last term divided by 2, and into n would be equal to the sum of n terms. Clearly n by 2 into first plus last is actually the correct formula for sum of n terms. So reasoning is definitely correct. We just had to check the sum of first 100 even natural numbers, and will that be equal to 45050 first of all. So if we do that calculation, sum of first 100 even natural numbers, normally we don't use this formula, we have a direct formula, sum of even natural numbers. So I think I'll use the formula sum of first 100 even natural numbers. I have a formula n plus 1, sum of first n even natural numbers, sum of first n even natural numbers. So I'll just write it in the symbolic form, summation of 2n from 1 to 100 will be equal to 100 into 100 plus 1, that is 101. This is the formula that we have for the sum of first n even natural numbers, n into n plus 1, right? So this 100 into 101, I'm pretty sure would not come out to be 45050, it's 100100. This would simply come out to be, okay, I'm so sorry, 100 and yeah, this would be 100 into 100, so there will be 4 zeros, yeah. After that 101 100 times, I'm so sorry, 10100, yeah. So this would be the value, whereas in the assertion the number given was 45050. Clearly the assertion is incorrect and the reason is correct. We didn't have to worry whether it is the right reason or not. The answer is option D. Assertion is false, but the reasoning is the reason R, the statement R is true. Okay, it may not be the right reason, but the statement is true, right? So therefore the answer is option D. All right, moving on. X square plus 3x plus 1 is equal to x minus 2 the whole square is not a quadratic equation, is the first statement, and the nature of roots of the second quadratic equation are real and equal. Okay, I think for an equation to be a quadratic equation, clearly the coefficient of x square, so if you have ax square plus something something, the only condition is a should not be equal to 0, and as far as the second statement is concerned, you will have to check. So see, take some time, maybe half a minute. This one would, would get solved very quickly. See if you are able to get to the answer quickly. All right, let's quickly do that. By observation, I can easily see here you have a x square, and x minus 2 the whole square would have x square minus 4x plus 4. The x square and the x square would cancel out. There will not be an x square term. So hence it is definitely not a quadratic equation. It's a linear equation, whatever it is. Therefore statement 1 actually is true. And statement 2, the nature of roots of this are real and equal. So if this is real and equal, we should be able to write this as a whole square, or b square minus 4ac is 0. So is b square equal to 4ac? 2 square is 4 into root 3 square is 3 is equal to 4 into 1 into 3. This is indeed equal. Yes, b square is equal to 4ac, so b square minus 4ac is 0, and because b square minus 4ac is 0, the roots are real and equal. So this statement is also proving to be true. Both the statement 1 and statement 2 are true. The answer to this question is option A. Okay, pretty straightforward question. Let's go ahead to the next one. Okay, if a pair of linear equations 2x plus 3y is 7 and 2px plus p plus q into y equal to 28 has infinite number of solutions, then what can you comment about P and Q? Please see if you would be able to answer this question. Again, not a very lengthy one. This one is a straightforward one. Again, I'm giving you 30 seconds. So 30-40 seconds should be enough for this one. See if you're able to get an answer. Okay, I'm looking at your chat messages, guys. All right, so let's discuss. Okay, so this one is a question where I'm seeing slight variations in the answers. Someone has got a D, someone has got a B. Let's quickly check. If the linear pair of linear equations 2x plus 3y is equal to 7 and 2px plus p plus qy equal to 28 has infinite number of solutions. For the number of solutions to be infinite, 7 is to 28, the ratio has to be the same. A1 upon A2 should be equal to B1 upon B2 should be equal to C1 upon C2, where A1, B1, C1 are the coefficients of x, y and the constant term. So A1 upon A2 equals B1 upon B2 is equal to C1 upon C2. Clearly 7 upon 28, this ratio is known to us. So that's 7 upon 28, that's nothing but 1 upon 4. So the other ratios should also be 1 upon 4. So 2x, so solving this one we'll get 2 upon 2p is also 1 upon 4. Clearly p comes out to be equal to 4. So p would be equal to 4, and if p is 4, 1 by 4 should also be equal to 1 by 4 should also be equal to 3 upon 4 plus q. So this should also be equal to 1 by 4. Clearly 4 plus q should be equal to 12. You'll get q is equal to, so this should be equal to 12. Only then this should be 1 by 4. And if this is 1 by if denominator is 12, q would come out to be, or q would end up being an 8. So therefore 4 and 8, the answer would be option B, right? So the answer is option B, 4 comma 8. Okay, so let's go ahead. The expression 2x cube plus ax square plus bx plus 3, where a and b are constants, has a factor of x minus 1 and leaves a remainder of 15 when divided by x plus 2. Again we are using, we'll clearly by observation we realize we'll be using the factor theorem and the remainder theorem here. And you have one equation which has two unknown coefficients a and b, and you have two factors, or information related to two of the factors given to you. Similar to what we had done in one of the questions, you would have to substitute the values of the roots or the roots associated to each of those factors, and you should be able to get the remainder. Okay, so I hope you remember the remainder equation. Remainder when p of x is divided by, so remainder when p of x is divided by x minus a is equal to p of a. This is the property that we use. So in the first case, when it is a factor, the remainder is 0. In the second case, it is a remainder of 15. So yes, definitely, let's try. Very quickly, half a minute. Alright, let's quickly check. For x minus 1, I'll substitute x equal to 1. So x minus 1 equal to 0, x equal to 1. So when x is equal to 1, p of 1 would be equal to 2 into 1 cube, that is 1, plus x equal to 1. So basically 1 into 1 square is 1 into a, so a, plus b into 1, that is b, plus 3, and this has a factor, this means the remainder is 0, so equal to 0. You will get the first equation, a plus b is equal to 2 plus 3, and it goes on the other side, so that's equal to minus 5. First of all, just check the options. I think I'll not solve further. A plus b is equal to minus 5, that's happening only in option B. Here the addition is 5, here the addition is minus 5, here the addition is minus 13, here the addition is 13. clearly these three cannot be the answers. The answer has to be option B. I'll not even solve the simultaneous equation. I'm not even going ahead to the leaving of the remainder being 15, etc. I have used options and got to the answer. However, if you put x equal to -2, you would get the other equation. I'm not solving it. I'll just write it, and maybe if sometimes you don't get such convenient options, you would have to solve it this way. So if I put x equal to -2, I would get 2 into -2 cube, so that's 2 into -8, 16, -16, -2 square would be 4a, so 16 plus 4a minus 2b plus 3, and that will be equal to, it leaves a remainder of 15. So -16 goes on the other side, it becomes 31 minus 3, that's 28. 4a minus 2b is 28, or 2a minus b is equal to 14. 2a minus b is equal to 14. Yeah. So this is the second equation. You can check from the option B. 2 into 3, 6, minus of -8 is +8. So 6 plus 8 adds up to 14. Two variables, two equations, you had to solve them simultaneously to get to the answer. Okay. Sure, let's go ahead. Again, a very conceptual question that is covered in the exercises also in your books. See if you are able to answer this question. It will not take, I'm sure if you've gone through your exercises and you've done your solving, half a minute should be enough for this one. So see if you are able to do it in half a minute or 40-45 seconds. Yes, okay, sometimes these factor and remainder theorem concept could be a little tricky if you've not done that, in your school. Okay. Amit and Alok attempted to solve a quadratic equation. Amit made a mistake in writing down the constant term, but we know the constant term is related to product of roots. Sum of roots is related only to the middle coefficients and the first coefficient. So his sum of roots would be correct. He has written the constant term wrong, but 4 and 3 should give you the right sum of roots. So therefore the correct sum of roots, will be equal to 4 plus 3, that is 7. Okay. So therefore minus b by a is equal to 7. So the correct sum of roots is 7. That is something that I know. And Alok made a mistake in writing down the coefficient of x wrong. Coefficient of x is related to sum of roots, but he wrote everything else correct. So for the second person, the product of roots is correct because that's not related to the middle coefficient. So the correct product of roots is 3 into 2, that is equal to 6. Therefore, when you know the sum of roots and when you know the product of roots, you frame the correct equation and you will be able to get the correct roots. So therefore the correct equation is x square minus the sum of roots. So minus 7x plus 6 equal to 0. The roots of this one are, the split is -1 minus 6, the roots would be +1 and +6. So 6 and 1 would be the roots. So that would be the answer, right? Now this is something where I've done this, where I've skipped a few steps very quickly. If you don't recall this, you split the middle term as -1 and -6. I hope you have been using the split change divide method. So if you've got this equation, the split of middle term such that its product is 6 and the addition is -7, that will be -1 and -6. Then you should directly change the sign of both the numbers. So that will be 1 and 6 and divided by the first coefficient 1. If you divide both of them by 1, the answer would remain the same. Therefore, this would be the final answer. This normally we call split change divide method instead of actually factorizing the equation. Okay. So I hope you've got the answer. The correct answer to this one is option B. Okay. Chalo, let's go ahead. a father's age is 6 times his son's age. 4 years hence the age of the father will be 4 times his son's age. The present age of the son and the father respectively are. I would recommend don't solve the equation. Okay, everyone here use the options. The father's age is 6 times the son's age. 4 years, if you add 4 years, so father is 6 times the son's age. If you add a 4 years and if you add a 4 years to both of them, you will have the father's age would be 4 times the son's age. I would suggest you go ahead to the options. Now remember, this is not a equation. I'm just saying father and son. Okay, so if the initial ages were 6 and 36, you add 4 to them, this becomes 10, this becomes 40. Add 4 to it, 10 and 40. Do these numbers satisfy both the conditions? Yes. 6 times and 10 and 40 have a relation of 4 times. Clearly option A is the correct answer without even solving further, because here you would have seen, you don't even need to check further, but if you check further, 4 plus 4 is 8, 24 plus 4 is 28. This is not 4 times. 5 and 30 is 6 times, but 5 plus 4 is 9, 30 plus 4 is 34. They are not multiple and factor of each other. 7 into 4, 6 is 42, but if you add 4 years, it will not be 4 times. Clearly only option A satisfies both conditions. The answer is option A. You could have avoided writing equations completely for this question. Just use options here. Okay, so something which a lot of students don't realize, they actually end up solving equations, but you could have done this using options, right? Okay, let's move ahead. The sum of n terms of this sequence. Okay, I'm giving you a minute's time or something more than a minute. See if you're able to answer this question. This is a very common one which we've done. You come across this question in sequence and series chapter. All right, so sum of n terms of the sequence is what? Anyone? Okay, Sherlyn, very nice. So you've been very active. I'm pretty impressed. So maybe from what I read in the chat, I think you are someone who's not taken maths since your 9th grade, right? So, and still being able to solve these questions quickly shows that you've been very sincere. Let me know in the chat if I've read correct. Sherlyn 5523. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and take this up. Now sum of n terms of the sequence, 1 upon 1 into 2, and there are n such terms and they are sum. Now you just had to understand over here, whenever you have such a sequence where you see the difference in each consecutive term, the difference between any number and the two numbers in the denominator being the same, you always split them as, so basically the concept that we'll use over here is 1 by a minus 1 by b is equal to b minus a upon a into b. This is the base concept that we are going to use over here. Now do you realize that this question also uses, do you realize this question also revolves around the same concept. So 1 upon 1 into 2, 1 upon 2 into 3, the difference between, so can I write this as 2 minus 1 upon 2 into, or rather, yeah, 2 minus 1 upon 1 into 2. If you look at it, we are going reverse from year to year. So b minus a upon a into b is nothing but 1 by a minus 1 by b. That same thing is happening over here for each of these terms. So therefore, what we are going to do is, instead of keeping it in the form where the denominators are different and you will not be able to add them up, this sequence has to be simplified as the first one, 1 upon 1 into 2 would become 1 by 1 minus 1 by 2. Similarly, the second term, so this is the first term. The second term of this sequence would be 1 by 2 minus 1 by 3. You can verify 3 minus 2 is 3 minus 2 is 1, and the denominator would be 2 into 3, plus the third term of this sequence, and that would be 1 by 3 minus 1 by 4, and so on. The nth term of this sequence would be, first term is 1 by 1, second term is 1 by 2, the third term is 1 by 3. So the nth term is 1 by n minus 1 upon n plus 1. And therefore, when you add them up now, you will realize minus 1 by 2 and plus 1 by 2 cancels out. Minus 1 by 3 plus 1 by 3 cancels out. Everything will cancel out except for the first and the last one. So if these two just remain, what you will be left finally is nothing but 1 minus 1 upon n plus 1. And that's n plus 1 minus 1. So in the numerator you will be left with, n, in the denominator you will be left with n plus 1. Okay, so therefore the answer would be n upon n plus 1. The answer to this question is option D. All right. So this is something, because I had to explain this over here, might look a little lengthy, but this is something which you've done in your class exercises, practice exercises, and a lot of mock tests. So by this point, someone who's prepared well would find this question to be very straightforward, very direct. Okay, sure. Let's go ahead. Now for the next question, I'll take a little break here. Okay, so we'll take a break for, it's 3:49 right now. I will quickly give you time to solve this one, and we will resume. So I'll resume at 3:54. I'll resume exactly at 3:54 in 5 minutes. Okay, very quickly. So in that duration, I'll take a quick break and join again. All right, so you all can keep solving, continue solving, guys. All right, so we are back here. Let's get to solving of this question. Rupesh. All right, so let's get to the solving. All right, so the HCF and LCM of two numbers x and y are respectively 6 and 210. If x plus y is 72, then 1 upon x plus 1 upon y is equal to, well, this was a pretty straightforward one. If x and y, if the HCF and LCM are 6 and 210, the product of the two numbers, that is nothing but x into y will be equal to the product of HCF and LCM, so that's 6 into 210, and x plus y was already given to you. Here the key point was you did not have to find the two numbers. You could easily have answered the question, because 1 by x plus 1 by y is nothing but x plus y upon xy. X plus y was given in the question as 72, and x into y we found out is 6 into 210. You just had to simplify this and get to the answer. 6 goes once, 6 goes 12 times, 6 goes twice, 6 goes 35 times over here. Therefore, the answer directly is 2 upon 35. You did not have to find the value of x and y over here, although that's possible. You could have found the value of x and you could have found the value of y using the two equations that were given to us, but that was not necessary in this question. The answer to this question is 2 upon 35, could have been found out this way as well. Okay, so the answer to this one is option D. All right, let's go ahead. What will be the least number which when divided by this leaves the remainder of 6 in each case? All right, how do you go about this one? Now here, because we've just taken a break, maybe I'll just do this one a little quickly, and maybe I'll give you more time as we go ahead. So what will be the least number which when divided by these leaves the remainder of 6 in each case? The best way to solve this is calculate the LCM and add the remainder. However, another thing that you could have done is you could have used the options. The number should leave a remainder of 6 when divided by these divisors, and among these 35 is a number which is a multiple of 5. So 35, the multiples are 70, 105, so it's basically 35 into 2 is 70, right? And here this number is even, so clearly we are looking at multiples of 70 plus 6, somewhat like that. This is 430 plus 6, so basically 35 into 2 is 70. So if a number is leaving a remainder of 6 with 35 as well as 12, it might leave a remainder of 6 with 70 also, and checking with 70 is very easy. Does this leave a remainder of 6 when divided by 70? Yes. So this could be a possible answer. This when divided by 70, 70 multiples of 70 are 280 plus 6. No, this definitely cannot be the answer, because even when dividing by 70, the remainder should be 6 only, because 70 is a factor of 35, and basically has factors which kind of are involved in 35 as well as 12, right? 35 has 5 and 7, 12 has a 2. So if I'm leaving a remainder of 6 with these two, and the LCM of these two, it will also leave a remainder of 6 with 70. So this cannot be the answer, this cannot be the answer, this cannot be the answer. Hence the only option that can be the answer is option A. However, so this was a little complex way, mental intuitive way of solving this question. The other method would be simply calculate the LCM, right? Why try to be so smart? So if you want to calculate the LCM and add a 6, that could also have been done. That would be 12, 21, 35. The LCM would, so this is 5 into 7. This is 3 into 7. This is 3 into 4. Clearly the LCM would have 3, 4, 3 is covered over here, so 7 and a 5. So 3 into 4 into 7 into 5. You could have easily bypassed 21. 3, 4, 7, 5. 35 into 12 is the LCM. The LCM is 420 and you want a remainder to be 6. So therefore the number that you are looking for is LCM plus the remainder, that is 420 plus 6, which is nothing but 426. All right. Sure. Let's go ahead to the next question. Given are two statements, statement 1 difference and statement 2. So because we have to cover numbers, we have to cover arithmetic, and we have to cover modern maths also, I'll speed up a little, okay, slightly. See if you are able to kind of maintain the pace. If not, let me know. So the difference, the sum and the product of two numbers are in the ratio 1:5:12. The product of two numbers is 18. That's statement 1. And statement 2 is the last digit in the decimal representation of 2�91 is 6. Okay. Let's quickly go one by one. Statement number 1, the difference and the product of two numbers are in the ratio. So the difference, the sum and the product of the two numbers are in the ratio 1:5:12. So x minus y is to x plus y is to xy is in the ratio 1:5:12. The product of the two numbers is 18. Now even without solving, what I figure is the product of the two numbers is proportional to 12, and these are all integers. We have an integer ratio for some integers. So x plus y and x minus y, maybe just to be doubly sure, I'm not sure, so what I'll do is I'll although generally we deal with numbers, but if it is non-numbers, let me just check. If I were to solve x minus y and x plus y, x minus y is 5k, x plus y is, sorry, x minus y is 1k, x plus y is 5k, because this is in ratio. If I solve them, 2x will be 6k, x would come out to be 3k, x comes out to be 3k, y will come out to be 3k and 2k, and I do not have any value. So therefore x into y would be 3 into 2, 6 k square. Still not sure. 6k square. Therefore I am not very convinced. Statement 1 could be true, but is it true? I don't think so. So statement 1 in my opinion is not true. Statement 2 is pretty easy to check. We've done the cyclicity of powers of 2. Powers of 2, 2 raised to the power x follows a cycle of 2, 4, 8 and 6. So every fourth power is a 6. So 2 raised to a 4, 2 raised to a multiple of 4 ends in a 6. So 2 raised to 4k, 2 raised to 4k ends in a 6 units place. So here 2 raised to 91, 91 is not a multiple of 4. Therefore statement 2 is definitely false. Is there a option which says both statement 1 and statement 2 are false? I think I would have opted for option B, the answer being option B, statement 1 as well as statement 2 being false. Sometimes such questions, if I were kind of quick solving it, not teaching or not explaining it, I would have directly marked the answer as option B, because when generally you deal with numbers and such things, we are not dealing with fractional numbers, such things. But still, just to be doubly sure, and because I had done maybe other questions quickly, I spent the time to just verify will I get anything. Although because there were all ratios involved, to get to a number also is very difficult. Okay, so therefore, yeah, the answer would be option B. All right, you all can try this one. K square minus 1 is divisible by 8 if k is what? I think you can take some numbers, maybe check. You should be able to get to the answer from the 4 options. If k square minus 1 is divisible by 8, by checking options itself, square of integer minus 1, so even integer minus 1 would become odd, that would not be divisible by 8. Answer can't be option A. Any natural number, again, not possible. Even integer, even square minus 1 will be odd. Odd numbers would not be divisible by 8, so this cannot be the answer. The only option which possibly could be an answer is option D. I'll still verify. 3 square 9 minus 1 is 8. 5 square is 25 minus 1 is 24. 7 square 49 minus 1 is 48. So you realize squares of odd numbers minus 1 are actually divisible by 8. The correct answer is option D. Okay. If I were solving it more technically, maybe I could also have done it this way. K square minus 1 is nothing but k minus 1 into k plus 1, and this is a multiple of 8. So this is a multiple of 8. Basically, can you see that these are two consecutive multiples of two consecutive even numbers? Okay, and between two consecutive even numbers, one of them will definitely be divisible by a 4. So maybe this could be a 2k and this could be a 4k, because between any two consecutive even numbers, one of them will always be divisible by 4. So their multiplication would actually become 8k if k is any odd number. So yes, this is true for any odd number. Okay, let's go ahead. How many proper divisors, that is divisors other than 1 or 7200, does 7200 have? So this question here would use your concept of number of factors, right? I hope you all remember, if the number is of the type a raised to the power p into b raised to the power q into c raised to the power r, then the number of factors are p plus 1, q plus 1, r plus 1, power plus 1, power plus 1, power plus 1, the product of power plus 1, right? This includes all factors, right? Having known this, I think you should be able to answer this question very quickly. Please try solving and getting to the answer in 30 seconds and then we'll discuss. Okay, it's time. So let us quickly discuss. The number of factors of 7200 would depend on its prime factorization. So 7200, now you should be able to do that quickly. 72 is 8 into 9 into 100. So 8 is a 2 cube and 100 also contains 2 square. So 2 raised to the power 5. There's a 3 square and 100 has a 25 which is 5 square. So 2 raised to the power 5, 3 square into 5 square. Therefore the number of factors are 5 plus 1, that is 6, into 2 plus 1, that is 3, into 3. 18 into 3 is 54. But we did not have to consider the two factors 1 and 7200. So minus 2. So therefore the answer that we are looking for is 52 proper divisors or proper factors. So therefore the correct answer would be option B, that is 50. Okay. Chalo, let's go ahead to the next one. Finding the square root of surds. Well, this is a concept question. If you know it, you know it. Otherwise, you can struggle a lot. The other way to handle these kind of questions is to go about doing the square of the options. You've been asked to find square root of 3 plus root 5. Instead, you could do the square of the options and see if you're getting 3 plus root 5. Okay. So one way is that, but normally, you should know the method of solving. The method of solving is, if you are kind of able to, for example, just like quadratic equations, if you have under root of p plus 2 root q, and if you are able to split this number as a plus b and this number as a into b, just like you do it in quadratic, right? If you are able to do this, then the answer to such questions is root of a plus root of b. Okay, if there's a minus sign over here, here also you'll get a minus sign. The concept is pretty straightforward. It is based on the concept of whole squares. A plus b, the whole square is a square plus b square plus 2ab. That's what is happening over here. Okay, so the whole the square of this RHS would be a plus b plus 2 under root ab, and that's what you've got on the LHS, right? So that's there's no magic trick involved over here. It's just a way of looking at it. If you are able to split this p into addition and this q into multiplication, you'll get the square root of the entire surd. But this 2 is critical over here. In the given question, that 2 does not exist. So because it does not exist, we'll have to multiply and divide by a 2 to get that 2 in place. So therefore the answer to this one, 3 plus under root 5, I'll convert this to under root of, I'll multiply within the square root. Within this square root, I'll multiply by 2. So within the square root, I'll have to divide by 2 as well. So I'll divide by 2, but within square root. So I'll have to divide by root 2. And within this square root, main square root, I'm multiplying by 2. So 3 becomes a 6, and you'll get a 2 over here as well. So this step was the most important over here. Once this step was understood, the question becomes pretty straightforward. Can you split 6 into two numbers, addition of two numbers whose multiplication is 5? Absolutely yes. So basically 5 into 1 and 5 plus 1. If you were able to get this split, you've got your answer. So therefore the answer to this question is under root 5 plus under root 1, the whole divided by root 2. Or which is nothing but root 5 by 2 plus root 1 by 2. The answer to this question is option B. Okay, so concept question, if you knew how to find the square root of surds, you would have been able to answer the question. Okay, let's go ahead. Okay, so one more question based on square root of surds. See if you are able to answer this question now. This is again based on surds, where square root of surds is involved. So I'll give you 1 or 2 minutes and then we will see if you are able to answer. So I'll give you more than a minute now. This is a slightly lengthier thing because you will have to rationalize also. So take a minute and a half and see if you are able to answer the question. Anything coming in the chat? A minute is already up. So as I promised, all these formulas, square root of surds and everything, you know, I'll find one formula sheet if possible and share that I'll pin it in the description of this video later, or maybe pin it as a chat message. Ask the admin team to pin a message which contains the QA formula, you know, formula sheet, or maybe, you know, I'll pass it across on all the WhatsApp groups across the country. Okay, all IMS WhatsApp groups, Telegram channels, etc. All right, these kind of questions can get a little irritating in the exam because it involves a lot of squares and rationalizing the denominator and such things. But you got to do what you got to do. Okay, so let's quickly look at it. Root 5 plus root 3 upon, can I say this is 5 plus 3, 5 into 3, so this would be root 5, but there's a minus sign in between, so the denominator would be root 5 minus root 3 plus this one would become, the numerator would become 5 into 6, 5 plus 6, so this is clearly root 6 plus root 5, and the denominator is root 6 minus root 5. So again you had to rationalize the denominator, so let's quickly get going with this. If you rationalize this denominator, this one, it simplifies to denominator would become a square minus b square, so the denominator would become 2, and the numerator would be a plus b the whole square. So if I just make root 5 plus root 3 the whole square directly, root 5 the whole square would be 5, root 3 the whole square would be 3, 5 plus 3 would be 8 plus 2ab, so 2 into root 5 into root 3, so that's nothing but root 15. The 2 would cancel out and this becomes 4 plus root 15. Okay, whereas for this one you will have, numerator, denominator would be 1, but the numerator would be a plus b the whole square, so a square plus b square, so 6 plus 5 would be 11 plus 2ab, so that will be 2 into root 6 into 5, that's root 30. So yeah, that's basically 4 plus 11, 15, 15 plus root 15 plus 2 root 30, the answer is option D. So ultimately this is plus 11 plus 2 root 30, 4 plus 11 clubs and becomes a 15 plus root 15 plus 2 root 30. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next question. Now you are given two statements. The sum of exponents of prime factors in the prime factorization of 392 is 5. The decimal representation of this will terminate after 2 decimal places. And you have to quickly check this. So let's do that very quickly. I hope you are able to read the question here, right? I hope I'm not blocking the view, right? The sum of exponents of prime factors in the prime factorization of 392. Very quickly, let's check. 392 is 128 into 3. No, that's 23 into 4. So that's actually 98 into, yeah, so that's 392 is 196. Yeah, that's 196 into 2. 196 is 14 square. So that's 2 cube into 7 square. 8 into 49. Sum of exponents of the prime factors of in the prime factorization is this. Sum of exponents, yes, 3 plus 2 is indeed 5. So statement 1 is true. Statement 2, in the decimal representation of this thing will terminate after 2 decimal places. I'll just give you a trick. I will just give you a trick. Whenever any number n which is co-prime with 2 and 5 is divided by 2 raised to the power a into 5 raised to the power b, where n is co-prime with 2 and 5. N is co-prime, n is co-prime with basically, co-prime to 2 and 5. If that's the case, in that case, whichever power is greater, it will have that many decimal places. For example, 1 by 2 has 1 decimal place. 1 by 2 square, that is 1 by 4, has 2 places after the decimal. 1 by 2 cube, that is 1 upon 8, if you know, has 3 places after I'm sorry, it has 3 places after the decimal point. So basically 1 by 8 is nothing but 0.125. Similarly, when I'm dividing numbers by 5, 1 by 5 is 0.2, 1 by 25 is 0.04. You should know you get 2 places after the decimal if the power has 5 square. If the denominator has 5 cube, it will have 3 places after the decimal. So when you have 2 raised to the power a and 5 raised to the power p, only 2's and 5's in the denominators, whichever power is higher, those many places after the decimal would be there. So you don't need to do the calculation. Looking at this, I could easily say this will have not 2, but it will have 3 places after the decimal, not 2. Therefore statement 2 is actually incorrect. Statement 1 is correct and statement 2 statement 1 is true, but statement 2 is false. The correct answer to this question should be option C. Okay, right. So let's go ahead. Alright, so as of now, only these questions are there in my slide. Just give me one moment, guys. Okay. Let me just quickly check with the admin team if these are all the questions. Just a moment. I think I'm facing some technical difficulties with the PPT. Give me a moment, please. All right, so while we are working on it, the questions have been added in the background. So yeah, the slide is sorted. Let's go ahead with the next question. So we have some arithmetic questions as well. Just a moment, I'll just check our chat. Yeah. Chalo. So let's get going. The average of 5 consecutive numbers is P. If the next two numbers are also included, how will the average vary? So the average of 5 consecutive numbers is given to be P. If the next two numbers are also included, how will the average vary? Will it increase by 1, increased by 1 into 4, shall remain the same, shall increase by 2? So can you just try about it, try this one, see if you are able to get the answer. This is a very simple one, you could just take numbers and get to the answer, very straightforward, 30 seconds enough. Okay, Dhruv D, Sherlin A, Ayo Chill Accounts A. Okay. Alright, yes, the correct answer to this one is option A. Now the very simple trick is, you could have taken maybe 5 consecutive numbers, you could have just taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Their average is 3. And if you take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the average comes out to be 4. Clearly the average is increasing by 1. And you could see this for any set of consecutive numbers, and therefore the middle number would go ahead only by 1, and therefore I would go ahead with the answer as option A. Okay, it shall increase by 1. Let's go ahead to the next one. Candidate scoring X% marks in an examination fails by A marks, while another candidate who scores Y% marks gets B marks, more than the minimum required pass mark. What is the okay? I think I would want you all to try this for a minute. Seems to be a little lengthy. See if you would attempt this question in the exam or not, based on the level of difficulty of what we've seen till now. Is this a solvable question or not, and if so, what's the answer? One minute is done. I'm adding another minute. See if you're able to get to the answer, please. Okay, wonderful. So I'm not sure what method works the best, but I generally could think of one method where I might want to substitute values here. At least first of all understand what's happening. So they say there's this number line, this is the passing marks. Someone who scored X% fails by A marks. So this gap is A marks. This is the passing mark. Whereas someone who has passed by scoring Y% marks has done so by scoring B marks extra, right? B marks more than the passing marks. What is the minimum, what is the maximum marks for the examination? So basically we are looking at 100%. Okay. X marks and again and all of this. So basically here the equation that you will have would be this value is equal to A plus B, and that's all that you have to do over here. Difference between Y% and X%, that will be nothing but Y minus X% of the total is equal to A plus B. And you just have to take things on the other side and you're done. Therefore, the total is equal to A plus B into 100 upon Y minus X. 100 A plus B into upon Y minus X. The answer should be option C. Pretty straightforward. You just have to write the equation properly. Okay. So yes, that's the answer. I think substitution would have taken a little longer only. So yeah, solving by this method gives us the answer very quickly. Let's go ahead. Okay, sure. A man sold 3/5 of his articles at a gain of 20% and the remaining at cost price. The gain earned in the transaction is. Pretty straightforward, guys. Quickly, the concept that we'll use over here. Tell me the concept that you'll use over here. Forget the final answer. I want to know which method is the best one. So in the chat now, you'll not put the answer. You'll tell me the method that we should use. Using substituting values or using any other concept. Okay, I'm waiting for your answers. There's one concept that I wish to hear from you all. What concept would you use here? The best suited concept. Even without writing anything, looking at the numbers, I can directly say that the answer has to be 12%. The answer is option C. The best method that I would want to use over here is allegations. Remember, some goods are sold at 20%, the other goods are sold at 0%, and their ratio is 3:2 because 3/5 of the goods, so these are 2/5 of the goods. Okay, so this is one thing which you could keep in mind. Which number, so if this is 3:2, this ratio should be 2:3. So what number in between would give you the difference as 2:3 ratio? Clearly the 20%, the gap of 20% has to be split in the ratio 2:3. This one would be 8%, this one would be 12%. The gap is 8 and 12%, so 20 minus 8, 12, 12 minus 0 is 12. So the average value would come out to be 12%. Okay, so one of the ways of solving this, generally when you develop the speed, you should be able to identify the ratios and the reverse ratio. The number of articles were 3/5 and 2/5. Their ratio is 3:2. Therefore, the gap from average should be in the ratio 2:3. So we are looking for a number between 20% and 0%, which is 2 parts away from 20 and 3 parts away from 0. So 2 parts away from 20 and 3 parts away from 0. The number that we are looking for was 12%, right? So normally, such questions, if you develop that mental calculation, the speed of, the kind of the intuition to be able to kind of spot that number and do that calculation of ratios quickly, could help you do the average calculation faster. Okay. Otherwise, the other method to do this is simply let there be 5 articles, or let there be articles worth 500 rupees. On 300 rupees, I made a profit of 60 rupees. And the other 200 articles, I made a profit of 0. Therefore, I made a net profit of 60 on a base of 500. So that would also give you the answer quickly. This is also quick only. It's not as if that method was kind of faster. It's just that if you don't write that, if you are able to do that mentally, you'll be able to do, you'll just look at the numbers and you'll be able to kind of figure out the answer. यहाँ पे at least थोड़ा लिखना पड़ रहा है. So that could have been avoided. So let's go ahead. In a class X of 30 students, 24 passed in first division. In another class Y of 35 students, 28 passed in first division. That is the data given to us, and then we are given two statements. Statement 1, class X has more percentage of students getting first division. Statement 2, both classes have equal percentage of students getting first division. I don't know, do we even have to discuss this too much? Statement 1 clearly, so 24 out of 30 is 80%. 28 out of 35 is also 80%. Clearly they are equal. The answer is statement 2 correct, because both classes have equal percentage of students getting first division. Hence statement 2 is true, but statement 1 is false. The answer will be option D. So I'm sure all of you could have got to the answer. So let's go ahead to the next one. The company offers 4 types of successive discounts on the marked price of an article. Arrange these successive discounts A to D in ascending order based on the final price of the article after discounts. Okay, so this one could be a little tricky in understanding or interpreting. So I am giving you 1 minute full. See if you are able to figure out the answer. First of all, reading and interpreting what they are trying to say itself is a little confusing. A to D, I thought there were 4 consecutive discounts. However, there are 4 types of 2 consecutive discounts each, or 2 successive discounts each. One minute is up. Now, normally, if you were someone who would have thought about these concepts of consecutive, so there were questions related to such things in your class exercises of profit and loss as well. Now, if you think about it, if I give a straight 40% discount on a article, you'll basically, on a 100 rupee article, you'll basically be buying it for 60. If I give you 35 and then 5, so first of all 100 would become a 65, and then on 65 I'll give you a 5% discount. So 5% of 65 would be 3.25, and roughly you'll be purchasing it at 61.75. Had I given you 30 and 10, the total of all the discounts is 10. You should realize that this 5% is on a lesser number. So you're losing out some discount because this 5% was on a smaller value. Your 30% was on the entire value, but 10% was on a smaller value. So for example, this would become 100 would become a 70, and then you will give 10% discount on 70. That will be a 7 ka discount. The value comes out to be 63. So for the customer, a single huge discount is the most beneficial. If you are breaking it into 2 parts, breaking it into one big part and a smaller part is more beneficial than breaking it into 2 closer parts, or 2 more equal parts. So here also we were asked to rate these discounts, or arrange these discounts in ascending order based on the final price of the article. So ascending order of final price, that is most discount to least discount, right? So most discount would happen when you're giving single largest discount, that's C. So this is the most discount, this should come first, so C. Then the next better one is, so next less better for customer is B. So C, then B, this is done, this is done. Then after 30, 25 and 15, that is A, and the total of this one is even less. So that's D. So CBAD should be the answer. The correct answer to this one should be option B. Yes, this some of you have identified is the question from last year. Could be. Actually, I have not really tracked the JIPMAT paper year by year. So I know this is a previous year question, but I am not sure which year. But if you all have identified it, it probably could be the last year question. Okay. Okay, chalo, let's go ahead. Oops, have I done a mistake here? The answer ticked over here is CA. No, I think there's some issue here. The correct answer has to be CBAD only. Okay. Chalo, let's go ahead. Sonali buys 2 pen drives. Sonali buys 2 pen drives A and B, and their cost price is in the ratio 5:6. If she sells them at 10% profit each, she earns total profit of rupees 22. What will be her total profit if she sells the pen drive A on 20% loss and pen drive B on 30% profit? Try this for 1 minute. So my straight face is gone, guys. Thanks to the comment. I was trying very hard, or rather not trying, but that message made me, smile. Okay, guys, please try. This was actually pretty straightforward. I would have taken up the prices to be 500x and 600x because the cost price are in the ratio 5:6. On both of them, I make a 10% profit. So if I make a 10% profit, this would be 50x and this would be 60x, and their addition should be equal to 22. The total profit that I made was rupees 22. So 110x is equal to 22. Clearly this x is making the value 1/5. 110 is becoming a 22. So therefore my cost prices were actually 1/5 of 500, that is 100, and 1/5 of 600, that is 120. These are the two cost prices. And once we've known this, what will be her total profit if she sells pen drive A on 20% loss? So basically she makes a loss of 20 rupees here and profit B on 30% profit. So plus 36 over here. So the net profit loss would be equal to profit of rupees 16. And therefore the answer to this question is option A, that is rupees 16. Okay, so quite a doable question. Sometimes looking at this question, someone who's not done enough practice might tend to leave this because it might sound a little lengthy or appear to be a little lengthy, but not so much. Okay, if you're aiming to get into IIMs, I think these are the kind of questions that you would definitely have to solve. Okay, 30-meter deep well. Next question. A 30-meter deep well with diameter 7 meter is dug, and the earth from digging is evenly spread out to form a platform of size 22 meter by 14 meter. The height of the platform is. I don't know why this question is even here. We've already done geometry and this is a very simple straightforward question from mensuration. Equate the volumes and you should be done. So 30-meter deep well with a diameter of 17. So the only key point over here, diameter is 7 Therefore, the radius is 3.5. Equate the two volumes, don't multiply all of them. You should be able to get to the answer. Instead of 3.5, I would use the number as 7 upon 2. Okay, so pi r square h, pi into 7 by 2 into 7 by 2, and this pi is 22 by 7 into 30, r square h into pi, that is 22 by 7, is equal to the volume of the platform. The volume of the platform is length, breadth, height. So 22 into 14 into, let us say the height is h, and you just have to solve this, you get your answer. 1 7, another 7 gets cancelled out, 7 goes twice, 7 goes once. What else cancels out? 22 and 22 gets cancelled out. Anything else that's cancelling out? 7 2, nothing particularly, just 1 2 gets cancelled out, so this becomes a 15 by 4. The height is 15 divided by 4, that's 3.75. The correct answer to this question is option B, right? 3.75 meters. Okay, chalo, let's go ahead. Again, arithmetic, but SICI, very important. The difference between compound and simple interests on certain sum of money at the interest rate of 10% per annum for 1.5 years is rupees 183. When the interest is compounded semi-annually, then the sum of money is. Alright, so rate of interest is 10% per annum, and the sum of money would be how much? So the difference between compound interest and simple interest for 3 time periods. So you should know basically 1.5 years. So you will have to use the formula for difference between SI and CI for 3 terms. So if you remember the difference between SI and CI, compound interest for 3 time periods minus simple interest for 3 time periods, the formula was basically the formula was r% the whole square into P into 3 plus r%. This is a formula, but this normally would be the difference between SI and compound interest and simple interest for 3 years. Okay, here we are using semi-annual compound, basically semi-annual rate of compounding. So we'll use each term to be, or we'll take R for half a year, and I think we should be able to get to the answer. So see if you are able to get to the answer, and just let me know if this is a doable question or not. Okay. Is the answer B for this one, or was it for the previous one? Sherlin, yeah boy. B for this one. All right, so let's go ahead and quickly, just check. 183. Now the rate of interest is 10% per annum for 1 year, but we are using half a year because compounding is happening half yearly. So therefore, rate of interest, the effective rate of interest for us will simply be 5% over here. So 183 is equal to 5% the whole square, so that's 25 by 100 square, and into the principal into 3 plus r%, so that's nothing but 3 plus 1 by 20, so that's 21 by 20. 5% is 1 by 20, so if I put 1 by 20 in place of r%, so that's I'm sorry, that's actually 61. So 3 plus 1 by 20, so that will be 20 into 3, 60 plus 1, 61 by 20. The 60 will comfortably cancel out 183 and this becomes a 3, and cancelling out happens quickly. 1 by 20, 25 goes 4 times, and basically this is 8,000 into 3. The principal comes out to be 24,000. If you knew the concept, this question was manageable. The correct answer is option B. However, if you did not know this formula, many times students remember the formula for difference between SI and CI for 2 years. They don't by heart the formula for 3 years. In that case, you might have to derive the numbers. For example, some students who don't directly use this formula would have gone about it as first term 5, second term 5, third term 5 under SI, and under compound interest first term would have been a 5, second term would be 5 plus 5% of 5. So 5% of 5 is 5% of 5 is 0.1. So that would have been 5 plus, this would be 5 plus 5% of 5. 5% of 5 would be 0.25. So that will be 5.25. Okay. And then 5.25 plus, calculating 5% of 5.25 could be a little tedious. So instead of, taking the trouble to kind of dealing in numbers and then doing it, I think if you would have remembered the formula, that formula would have made things very, very fast and easy. Okay. Chal. Next, let's go ahead. Cost price of article A is 200 more than the cost price of article B. Article A was sold at 10% loss and article B was sold at 25% profit. If the overall profit earned after selling both the articles is 4%, then what is the cost price of article B? Now, I would recommend that we go about this question using options, because instead of, if we were to frame equations, I think it would take a little longer. We've been given cost price of A is 200 more than the cost price of B. So if A is 300, B would have been 500. If A is 400, B would have been 600. 450, 650, 500 and 700. First of all, these are the four cost prices of B and A. Article A was sold at 10% loss. A is the second one, right guys, remember. So if A is sold at 10% loss, it's a minus 50, and B was sold at 25% profit, it's a plus 75. So minus 50 plus 75, it's a net 25 profit on 800. 25 on 800, not a good percentage. Therefore, option A would not be the answer, because I want a net profit of 4%. Here it would have been minus 60 plus 100. It's a net 40 profit on a base of 1000. Clearly, this is 4% profit. The answer is option 2, that is rupees 400. Okay. So I would prefer going about this question using numbers and options instead of using variables that let the cost price of first one be B, the second one would be B plus 200, and then calculating the respective percentages. Okay. All right, let's go ahead, guys. Too much activity happening in chat. I'm not even able to follow whether you've posted your answers or not. Ahmedabad, UP, Delhi, bus, whatever is going on. We can get back on track with this. Chalo, PQ&R invested 25,000, 50,000 and 25,000 respectively to start a business. At the end of 2 years, they earned a profit of this much. I think this is pretty straightforward, guys. 1:2:1. So you just had to divide this profit in the ratio 1:2:1 in the ratio of their investments. So what will be Q's share? That's 2 out of 4, 50%, 24,000. The answer is option A. Let's go ahead. So the answer to this one is option A. Pretty straightforward. Okay. Chalo, let's go ahead. Ram and Shyam run a race between points A and B, 5 kilometers apart. Ram starts at 9 AM from A at a speed of 5 and reaches B, and returns to A at the same speed. Shyam starts at 9:45 AM from A at a speed of 10 kilometers per hour and reaches B. and comes back to A at the same speed. At what time do Ram and Shyam meet each other? I think I'd want you all to, try this question. Good question, will require maybe 1 or 2 minutes, and decide whether this kind of a question should be attempted in the exam or not. So if it comes up in the actual paper, is it a manageable one or not? Okay. So I've started timer for 1 minute. See if you're able to solve it. All right. While I had given you all the time, I was thinking whether I should solve it using, a diagram method, or whether I should just check the options. I realized this question here could have been solved very easily using the options. First of all, you just had to understand what the situation was. There is this point A and there is a point B. Okay, these two places are 5 kilometers apart. At 9 a.m. something is happening. At 9:45 a.m. something is happening. The person starting at 9 a.m. is starting with a speed of 5, and person starting from at 9:45 p.m. runs with a speed of 10. So understand that this person takes 60 minutes to cover the entire distance, 5 kilometers. So the entire distance takes 60 minutes. Whereas for this person, 10 kilometers per hour and the distance is 5 kilometers. So this person only takes 30 minutes to cover the distance. Okay. And 30 kilometers, no, 30 minutes to cover the entire distance. Okay. Now, A had started at, the first person had started at 9 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, this person would be exactly at B, whereas the one who started at 9:45, so basically the person who started at 9:45 would reach here at 10, whereas this person would reach this point at after 30 minutes, that is 10:15. Clearly, they have to meet after 10 o'clock, because once this person reaches over here, this person will turn back and this faster person would cross from here. Okay, so they will have to definitely meet after 10 o'clock, but before 10:15. You look at the options, 10 o'clock cannot be the answer. There was only one option between 10 o'clock and 10:15 could be the answer. You can just verify using options though. At 10:10, 60 minutes is the distance. So this person would have covered 10x, or basically 10 by 6, 10 by 60, that is 1/6 of the distance from this side. And at the same time, 10:10 after 9:45 is 25 minutes. 25 minutes, in 25 minutes, the second person who takes 30 minutes to cover the entire distance, would have covered 5/6 of the total distance, because out of 30 minutes he's already traveled for 25 minutes. So 5/6 has been covered by the second person, 1/6 has been covered by the first person. Yes, they would definitely meet at 10:10. The correct answer to this question is option B, that is 10:10. Okay, so yes, the answer is 10:10, option B, right? So Ram and Shyam meet at 10:10 a.m. Let's go ahead to the next question. Oops, the answer marked here is 10:30. But I think some mismatch here. The answer to this question should be 10:10 only. Okay. Okay. Chalo, let's go ahead. A person travels 3 equal distances at a speed of A, B and C kilometers per hour respectively. What is the average speed for the whole journey? Well, you know that the average speed when the distances are equal has to be equal to the harmonic mean of the individual speeds. So A, B, C, the harmonic mean is nothing but the average speed would be equal to 3 upon 1 by A plus 1 by B plus 1 by C. You all can check which one would simplify, this would simplify to give you which option as the answer. Numerator should have a 3. Only one option had a 3 in the numerator. The correct answer to this question is option D. So this would be 3 times AB plus BC plus 3 times ABC in the numerator, because the denominator of denominator would have ABC, and so this would be 3 upon AB plus BC plus AC upon ABC, and which ultimately would become 3ABC upon AB plus BC plus AC, and hence the answer to this one is option D. Okay, so a theory question, someone who would have done this theory well would be able to answer this question pretty easily. Okay, you've been given some lists of numbers here on the LHS in list 1 and list 2. You just had to match them, maybe very calculation based, and you just had to identify which numbers are multiples of which one, etc. All right, so let's get to the task. 84 and 28 are related. So when I'm looking at this thing now, one thing which I realize is here you have a 28, here you have a 84, 8.4, and again you have, okay, but are all other numbers also multiples of 84? 84 is made up of 21, could be possible. 21 means 7. So maybe other numbers could also be divisible by 7s and such things. Although there's a 85 over here, 85, 850s, 85 is made up of 17s. Yeah, maybe let's quickly evaluate things. So what we'll do is we'll get rid of the percentages. So for example, here list 1, or maybe we could also go by the options. A has been matched to 2, A has been matched to 3. So what's the value of A? A is 3/5 of 264, 3/5 of 264, and which one could be 3/5 of 264? So 3/5 of 264, approximately 1/5 is 52.8. So 3/5 would be 52.8. So 158.4. So approximately I want a number in the 150s. 50% of 800 would be in the 400s. I want a number in the 150s. 1056, 15% of this would be in the 150s. So A should be to 3. So this and this could not be the answer. Among these two, A3, B4, C1 and C2. So C, instead of C, I think calculation of D is easier. 550% of 250. So 5.5 times of 250. 5.5. 5 times of 250 is 1250, and half times. So 1375. So I need a number in the 1300s. 1300s, either 1 or 2. Clearly it's 1, because 1/5 of this. So D should be mapped to 1, A should be mapped to 3, and D should be mapped to 1. The correct answer should be option D. I think I could have done this much better. Maybe I spent a lot of time initially evaluating how would I do the calculation, but yeah, the correct answer should be option D. Pretty straightforward. Sometimes because there are so many percentages and numbers involved, could get a little time consuming, but yeah, I think within 1.5 minutes you should be able to figure this out. All right, let's go ahead. P's income is 140 more than Q's income, and R's income is 80 more than S's income. If the ratio of P's income and R's income is 2:3, and the ratio of Q's income and S's income is 1:2, then incomes of PQ, R and S are respectively how much? All right, so P's income and Q's income are compared. R's income is 80 more than S's income. So here you have a comparison, numeric comparison. So at least check options. P should be 140 more than Q. So P should be 140 more than Q, 140 more, 140 more, 140 more. All the options are satisfying that. R's income should be 80 more than S. 80 more, 80 more, 80 more, 80 more. So all the options satisfy the first two conditions. Ratio of P's income to R's income is 2:3. P to R is 2:3. That's not happening in option A. P to R is 2:3, not happening in option B. P to R in the ratio 2:3 is happening in option C as well as option D. So the last ratio, Q to S, the ratio should be 1:2. So 1:2 is happening both the places. 140 more, 140 more, 80 more, 360 to 480. Okay, I'm so sorry. 360 and 480, the incomes are not, the income of PQR, R is not 80 more than S. So option D already is eliminated. The correct answer to this one is option C, right? So therefore the answer to this question should be option C. Instead of solving it using ratios and everything, I think a better approach here was using options. Okay. Chalo, let's go ahead. 3 years ago, ratio of ages of Amisha and Namisha was 8:9. 3 years from now, the ratio will be 11:12. 3 years ago, the ratio was 8:9. 3 years from now, the ratio would be 11:12. Here, I can directly compare from year to year. The age has increased by 6 years and the number of parts were 8 and now they become 11. Although I can't directly compare two different ratios, but I can compare them in this case because the gap over here was 1 part, the gap over here was 1 part, and two people will always have the same age gap if they are going same number of years ahead or behind, right? So both of them have gone from this point to this point. Present age is 3 years, present age is plus 3 years, and from the present they've gone further 3 years ahead. So their age gap would be the same. That ratio, parts of the ratio are also the same for both of them, for both the ratios. The difference in the ratio, parts of the ratio for both the people is the same. So therefore these two ratios can be compared. So earlier the age was 8 parts, now the age is 11 parts, and the age has actually increased by 6 years. So from 8 to 11, 3 parts increase represents 6 years. What is the present age of Namisha? So 3 parts represent 6 years. Therefore 8 parts represent 16 years and plus 3 years. So basically to reach the present age, we'll have to increase the age by 3 years. So therefore the answer to this one would be option C, that is 19 years. So 8 parts is, okay, I'm so sorry, yeah, Amisha and Namisha, yes, Amisha is to Namisha. So yes, Amisha would now be plus 3, that is 19 years old. Okay. All right, a few more questions, just a few more. Okay, a common mistake that students make in this question. One very simple concept that we can use over here is, the normal concept is you add these ratios or you add these fractions, and when different ratios are equal or different fractions are equal, the sum of numerators upon sum of denominators is also the same. So all these fractions, a upon b plus c is equal to b upon c plus a is equal to c upon a plus b, would also be equal to, this k would also be equal to a plus b plus c upon 2 times basically b plus c plus a plus b. So that will actually be 2 times a, 2 times b, 2 times c. So 2 times a plus 2 times b plus 2 times c, 2 common, a plus b plus c. Now before you cancel out over here, k would be equal to 1 by 2 if you cancel out the a plus b plus c. But remember one thing, you cannot cancel out a 0 from numerator as well as a denominator. Okay, and the original expression did not give you a 0, a plus b plus c in the denominator. So if a plus b plus c is not equal to 0, you can cancel it out and you'll directly say k is equal to 1 by 2. But if a plus b plus c is 0, in that case you cannot cancel out. But in that case you would have said, therefore a is equal to minus times of b plus c. right? B plus C goes on the other side, or A goes on the other side, and you'll say B plus C is minus A. And in that case, K is equal to A upon B plus C, right? So K is equal to A is nothing but minus times of B plus C upon B plus C. The B plus C and the B plus C cancels out, and you could also get K equal to minus 1. So depending on the values of A, B, C, if their sum is non-zero, in that case K would come out to be 1 by 2. But if their sum is 0, in that case K could also come out to be a minus 1, and normally people neglect or miss out on this value. So this is a common trap. Avoid this. Whenever you're cancelling things from numerator and denominator, just ensure that you know for sure that it is non-zero. If it is 0, then it cannot be cancelled out, then something else needs to be done, like we've done over here. So therefore the answer to this question is actually option B. Okay. Why didn't we use 3K? Because ask sir, we didn't. Oh my god, what an answer. Okay, I'm not sure which question are you all referring to. Okay, why didn't we put 3K? Very good. A upon B equal to C upon D equal to F upon G equal to, suppose this is equal to K. In that case, A plus C plus F upon B plus D plus G is also equal to K only. That's the property of ratios. For example, just to give you a perspective, one second. Oh, how do I add a slide? Okay, let me erase all. So is the working understood by others? Just to clarify this doubt, 1 by 2 is equal to 2 by 4 is equal to 4 by 8, or it's equal to 5 by 10. Now you add all the numerators. 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 4 is 7, 7 plus 5 is, if I add all the numerators, that is 12 upon 2 plus 4 is 6, 6 plus 8 is 14, 14 plus 10 is 24. 12 by 24 is still equal to 1 by 2 only, na? If all of these were equal to 0.5, this is also equal to 0.5, right? And that's because the numbers are in proportion, right? So if all the numerators are in proportion, their sum is also in the same proportion. If all the denominators are in proportion, their sum is also in the same proportion. So basically sum of all numerators upon sum of all denominators, the common factor would cancel out, and it would reduce to the original value only, right? I hope this is clear. Okay, chalo, let's go ahead. We are on the third last question, guys. 5 to 10 more minutes max. So just stay there, hang in there. The value of a flat worth rupees 5 lakhs is depreciating at the rate of 10% per annum. In how many years will it be reduced to? Come on. Now, this is not something which we have to solve. 45,000, 40,500, and it would reduce by around 4,000, 36,000 something. The answer is option B, 3 years. Don't even, bother solving it too deeply. You reduce it by 10%, 450 reduce hoga, and this will become 4050. You will reduce this by 10%, you will reduce by 405, and it will become what? 405, and it will become 3645. That's what has happened over here. So we were looking for this number. It will happen 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So after 3 years, you will reach 364500. The answer is option B. All right, so 5 more minutes for sure. Right? Stay there and see if you are able to answer this one now. Two persons A and B start from the same point, Chandigarh to Ambala. See if you are able to answer the question. I think here we could easily get the ratio of their speeds. What has happened over here? They're going from Chandigarh to Ambala. Person A, the speed of A is 4 kilometers per hour slower than B. Now here the approach should be B is faster. So B reaches Ambala earlier and then turns and meets A in the return journey. How much distance has he covered? B covers the entire 60, turns back and covers another 12 because he met A who is still 12 kilometers away from Ambala. So iska matlab the faster person has covered 60 plus 12, that is the faster person has covered 72. Iska matlab the slower person is still 12 kilometers away. So 60 minus 12, the slower person has only covered 48. So the slower person has only covered 48. The distances covered are directly proportional to their speeds. Hence 72 and 48, the ratio turns out to be 3:2. So their speeds are also in the ratio 3:2. And if their speeds are in the ratio 3:2 and they had a difference of 4 kilometers per hour. So their difference is 1, but that's equal to 4 kilometers per hour. The difference between their speeds is 4 kilometers per hour. So what was the speed of A? A is the slower person. So the slower person is 2 parts, that will be 8 kilometers per hour. So the slower person 8 kilometers per hour. The answer would be option B, 8 kilometers per hour. All right. Fine. One final question for today. Based on mixtures and allegations maybe, or what concept is this? So I think for the last question I will give you time to solve 1 minute and then we'll discuss, okay, or half a minute, whatever it takes. So 1 last minute for you to try and then we'll discuss. This is pretty straightforward, very easy question. I think I'll stop the timer here. Even with the numbers, no concept required. You had 30 liters, 7:3, that's 21 liters, 9 liters. You're adding some amount of water such that now this represents resultant mixture has 40% water. So this is 60%, right? 60% is 21 liters. 21 liters is 60%. So 40% would be how much? 40% would be 2/3 of it, right? 60:40 is 3:2. 3 parts is 21. 3 parts is 21. So 2 parts will be 14. And if 2 parts is 14, 9 plus x is 14. Therefore, the x should be equal to 5 liters. So you simply had to add 5 liters of water to the solution to be able to get 40% water in it, right? So guys, I hope you were able to, you enjoyed the session and it helped you kind of revise all the concepts that, you had covered across various sections. We did not cover modern maths a lot because that does not come too much. But yeah, basically, it's not something as if it's nil. But yeah, we've not covered that modern maths in great length, or rather we've not covered permutations, combinations, probability at all. So you can revise that at least. But yeah, what we've understood is the JIPMAT questions are not very, very difficult. Probably, you just need to get into your zone of, solving before the paper. So I'm pretty sure if you just take one mock every single day in the next 4 days and just identify some concepts which you need to brush up to be able to, you know, do well in the paper, I think you would be in a very good place by the you know, by the 8th, I think, when you need to take the test. Okay, so guys, I think that's all from my side. I would request that you subscribe to our channel, and so that, you know, whenever you have all the other live solving sessions and whatever interview related prep and other things, you know, getting updated, you'll at least get an notification about it. All right. So thank you very much for staying back, and shout out to all the students who were there till the end. So yeah boy, Sherlin 5523, Dhruv Devrajan, Ayochil. So all the best, all the very best. You've been very active, and you've ensured that, you know, I also had the energy and enthusiasm to pull off this thing till the end. Without you 3 or 4 of you who were there, who were answering all questions, I think I also would have found this session very boring, but it wasn't boring for me because of you all. So thank you very much, and all the best. Take care and do well.